Defense, defensive end number.
Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. Joining me today is Thomas Bailey, Caleb Babula, and Michelle Morocco. We're here to talk about the amazing, dominant performance by the Bills on Monday night, where they won 47-10. They absolutely dismantled the Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh was on fire, continuing his MVP campaign with 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. The defense was dominant. Everyone was clicking. It was just an all-around great game. Michelle, first I want to ask you, what impressed you the most about this offense?
So the offense really obviously impressed us all, but the everybody eats mentality was really shown. We had 5 different players score touchdowns.
We had 10 different players
catch passes. That just shows like how much of a variety. Like we're not singling out one person. We're trying to see who's doing great and just moving us along, and that really worked out for us on Monday night. And it really just showed how much of a connection the whole team has, how much we have worked over the springtime, and just did amazing. And Keon Coleman and Ray Davis had their first career rookie touchdowns, which was amazing to see.
And then obviously it wasn't just the offense that put on a show. The defense also was quite dominant, continuing its dominant stretch over the last 10 quarters, allowing only 10 points to what many people expected to be a pretty good Jaguars offense. Caleb, what impressed you the most about this defense?
The most impressive part about the defense continues to be that guys are stepping up, like Damar Hamlin, Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, coming in for injured players, Dorian Williams, Baylon Spector, and just filling in perfectly. And also one of the best cornerback duos, if not the best cornerback duo in football this year, in Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas. I mean, they've been absolutely outstanding, locking up some of the best wide receivers in football. There's not much you can't like about this defense right now, and it's all really because of Bobby Babbage and Sean McDermott being absolute masters of the defense in the NFL.
And as you mentioned, Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage have had high praise so far this year. Same thing with offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Thomas, what has impressed you the most about this coaching staff?
Man, the versatility, honestly, to be able to run the ball and pass the ball as efficiently as we have to start the season is actually very, very good. Josh hasn't been the guy who has to play superhero, especially these last 2 games against the Dolphins and Jags, respectively. He hasn't had to be the guy that goes out there and win us these football games single-handedly. It's been an entire display from the offense. The offensive line has gotten so much better. We have run just not those little screens that we were seeing with Ken Dorsey. We've been running the ball a lot better as well. He can really scheme up the run very well. And on top of that, Josh Allen's been hitting everyone and anyone open on the field at all times. So the offensive side of the ball has gotten so much better. And then on defense, Bobby Babbage kind of brought that kind of aggressiveness to the team, that blitzing on the long downs, on third downs and stuff like that. We haven't seen that in years past. Kind of bringing that aggressiveness that we lacked in Sean McDermott. We saw it in the 13 seconds game where the conservativity just kind of lost us that game. And Bobby Babbage brings something that this team hasn't had in a very long time, maybe since the Marv Levy days, and it's really exciting to see.
Yes, and the Bills travel to Baltimore on Sunday night to take on the Ravens, who are 1-2. Caleb, what are you looking forward to seeing out of this offense?
The biggest thing for me is the offensive line. Can they continue to dominate? Can Spencer Brown and Dawkins continue to limit the pressures from the edges? They've been absolutely outstanding this year, probably the best tackle duo in football at this moment, and continuing to go by the everyone eats mantra and spreading out the football and not getting pigeonholed into targeting certain guys. I don't expect them to, but I'm just hoping they continue to spread the ball as much as they have. Like last week, where 10 different players caught a pass from Josh.
Yes, and then, Michelle, what are you looking forward to seeing out of this defense?
I'm looking to keep the pressure on. We had 4 sacks last game. I hope that we can continue to keep that number high. AJ Epinesa, Von Miller, and Greg Rousseau are leaders in the pass rush. So let's hope that we can keep those numbers up as well. And Damar Hamlin had that amazing interception. So maybe we can keep up with that as well.
And then, Thomas, who is someone who scares you on Baltimore, who was just the 1 seed last year?
I'm very nervous for Derrick Henry. If you saw his entire stint with the Tennessee Titans, most of the season, he is very hot or cold. And right now he is hot. You saw what he did against the Dallas Cowboys defense this past Sunday. He was an absolute unit, single-handedly keeping them in the game and winning them this football game to give them their first win of 2024. And I'm very nervous, especially with the added element of Lamar Jackson being able to run the ball as well. You're not going to know who's going to get the ball at all times, and then they can work off the play action game. So expect them to get the run game going early on to win this game, and hopefully we can defend that to keep our hopes of winning this game and our season undefeated schedule alive.
All right, now we're going to move on to score predictions. Caleb, what is your score prediction? Who is an X factor for this game?
So just to start off with the X factor of the game, I think it's going to end up being Keon Coleman to see if the rookie wide receiver can have a really big game, really step up, and break away on a home run play essentially, just to widen that lead. Because with the Bills' game script, getting a lead and being able to run the football against this Baltimore team will be huge. And my score prediction is 31-21 Buffalo win.
Michelle, what about you?
My X Factor player is Khalil Shakir. He had 72 yards and a touchdown last game. And my score prediction is 27-21. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think we're going to pull through.
Thomas, how about you?
I'm going to be the only one probably here that picks Baltimore Ravens to win 28-24. Baltimore needs this one a little bit more. I'm sorry, Caleb. Baltimore needs this one more. They're at home against a very gritty team. One thing they can do well is run the ball. One thing we can't do well is stop the run. Works very well in their favor. 28-24. My X factor for Buffalo will be Dalton Kincaid. See if he can get going in the pass game against a leaky linebacking core that lost Patrick Queen in the summer.
For me, my score prediction is 27-20 Baltimore, and my X factor is actually going to be on the defensive side of the ball. As Thomas has mentioned, Baltimore lives on the run game. So for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these linebackers can do against Derrick Henry. So I think the X factor is going to be Dorian Williams and Baylon Spector. Those two as a duo, I think, is going to make or break this game. So moving on to the next segment, we will have Colin to join us to talk about the NFL.
And now your starting defense. Defensive end number 50.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's lumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do.
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're going to take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. We're here for our weekly NFL segment now. I'm joined by Sebastian, London, and Spike as we'll be recapping the events from week 3 as well as previewing some of our favorite matchups from week 4. So starting off with Sebastian, Vikings-Texans, a very surprising outcome. Sam Darnold in full control of that game. What did you like from that game?
Well, both teams went into this game 2-0, but Vikings really came out on top, winning this 34-7. Sam Darnold played a ball game, yet another successful win for them this season. He was able to match his career high with 4 touchdown passes this game. And with the Vikings playing as a whole, nothing can really stop them right now. The defense was there, offense was there, and the special team units were definitely there. Houston on the other side just wasn't physical. C.J. Stroud went 20 for 31, 215 yards for a touchdown. Threw 2 interceptions. Run game wasn't there as Cam Akers only rushed for a total of 21 yards with 9 carries. So, yeah.
Now, London, Ravens versus Cowboys, one of the most anticipated matchups from this week. It didn't disappoint with a late Cowboys comeback. What'd you like from that game?
This game was kind of like a roller coaster towards the end, watching that game. This was definitely a much-needed win from Baltimore with their next matchup against the Bills. Like you said, there was a late comeback from Dallas in the second half. Starting the second half, the Ravens were up 28-6. Baltimore dominated the run game in this matchup. Derrick Henry had 25 carries with 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Even Lamar Jackson got into the mix. He ran for 87 yards, 14 carries. From the Cowboys side, I feel this was a weak defensive game from the Cowboys. They couldn't stop the run. If CeeDee Lamb didn't have that fumble, that fumble right there could have turned this game into that fumble could have turned into a field goal in a different game. So I think this Cowboys defense need to be a little stronger, and yeah.
Now, Spike, your Jets did get the win on Thursday Night Football, but on our segment last week, you were very adamant about the 49ers coming out on top over the Rams, and that was not the case. What happened in that game? What happened to the 49ers?
Looking at the stats that I have pulled up here, it's very hard to tell. I mean, they completely dominated, it seemed, offensively, having almost near to 150 more yards. They had almost 100 more passing yards. They had nearly 50 more rushing yards. They were playing better on the offensive side of the ball. It just seems the injuries that they had piling up on that side just was not something that was aiding them, something that I thought that wouldn't affect them. But during the week, George Kittle also had gone down as well. So it definitely may have put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk alone to try to get through that game. And at the end, Brandon Ayuk ended up slipping away on that lateral play, one of the better lateral plays I've seen in the last few years. Usually by the fourth pass, someone's throwing it right forward downfield. But penalties really killed them, 111 yards in penalties. They lost a fumble as well, stuff that you just can't do against someone that you should be beating, even with all the injuries that you have, because they are also an injury-riddled team right now with a older quarterback still playing quite well. But at the end of the game, the Rams are the ones that are able to slug it out in this it was just a dog match really here, because two teams very hurt, two teams looking to get a quick win, and the Rams were the ones that are able to do it, improving their record, and the 49ers fall down to 1-2.
Now we've got another great slate of games here in week 4. Sebastian, Eagles and Buccaneers, two interesting teams. They've had their ups and downs this year. What are you looking for in this game?
Well, I'm looking for a dogfight this game because last time these two teams actually met, Buccaneers beat the Eagles 32-9 in the NFC wildcard round. Both of these teams are going into this game 2-1. Eagles just came off of a win against New Orleans, 15-12, and Buccaneers just won their last game against the Denver Broncos, 26-7. With a new addition of Saquon to the Eagles team this season, and him definitely balling out, I definitely think he'll be a key player to definitely watch this game, and definitely have Eagles taking home the W, 21-17.
Okay, a little score prediction in there too. I like that. London, Packers and Vikings. We've got an NFC North showdown. Tell us a little bit more about that game.
The Packers and the Vikings have looked like two of the better teams in the NFL through week 3, with Sam Darnold enjoying a breakout season and Green Bay winning 2 games with their backup quarterback Malik Willis. The Vikings currently lead the league with 15 sacks with off-season additions from Jonathan Greenard and former third-round pick Pat Jones. Each have 4 sacks out of the year. Green Bay's running has been excellent so far this season. They lead the league with 20 and 4 rushing yards. The Packers still don't have Jordan Love right now, they are expecting to return back from an MCL sprain, maybe this week, next week. So this is an important matchup. So for the NFC North. So yeah.
And Spike, on Monday Night Football, we've got the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. What are you looking forward to in that game?
I feel like this is going to be one of the better games of this week. Both of these teams have been barely etching out wins recently, but they've been fighting hard. They've been pretty low-scoring games. The Lions went into the overtime in the first game of the season. The Seahawks also went into overtime. Both of them not really passing over 20 points, and they've been fighting good. They've been doing what they need to. Both of these teams, I feel like it could emulate the Rams 49ers game, but for all the right reasons, not because of the injuries, but because these teams are dogs. These teams are going to get into the mix, and they're going to try to fight for any kind of win possible, even if it comes out to a 1-point victory or it comes out to a 10-point or multiple touchdown scores. These two teams want to get up there in the NFC, and I believe the Lions just have that slight advantage with being at home. You saw how those jerseys affected that home game when they took out that interception in the end zone to bring a takeaway into one of their former games in this early season. It's hard to pick a team here, but I feel like this game is just going to be one of the best games in the upcoming week, I believe.
Definitely a lot of good games to look forward to this weekend. We'll be back with our Buffalo Sabres segment next, hosted by Thomas.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. My name's
Bailey. We're going to talk Buffalo Sabres here. We got Michelle, Colin, and Alex on the show for this segment. Guys, we have 3 different preseason games to cover, but before we get into that, those 3 games have all resulted in wins for the Buffalo Sabres, being a 7-3, 6-1, and 3-2 victory, respectively. They have a plus 10 goal differential through their first 3 preseason games. I get it, it's preseason, but it's hard not to get excited here in Buffalo as they look to finally make the playoffs for the first time in 13 seasons. So we're going to start it off here with Alex. The Penguins and the Sabres met in a 7-3 showdown. Buffalo was at home. JJ Peterka with a hat trick. He had 4 players, Yoki Haru, Cousins, Peterka, and Power, who all had at least 2 points in the game. What were your thoughts on this one, Alex?
I mean, yeah, we dominated the Penguins, but I'm not going to take too much away from it because the Penguins mostly just had their AHL squad out there. They had a couple NHLers, like the person who scored all 3 goals for Pittsburgh, Jesse Puljujarvi. He had a hat trick. He's a decent player. But it is nice to see the offense really play well. I mean, Peterka had a hat trick. He's continuing off his dominance from last year. The power play looked much, much better. It was a lot more movement. Instead of last year, we were kind of just setting people up for like one-timers. Now we're have a lot more movement at the net, which allowed a goal because we were able to tip one in because there was so much traffic there, the goalie couldn't see it. But overall, it is preseason, so I'm not going to take too much away from it.
Right, and then we're going to move into Michelle, your game next.
Buffalo winning a big one, 6-1 on the road in Columbus. Devin Levi gets the start, 25 out of 26 shots with a .962 save percentage. Very good game on his end. And then on top of that, you had so many different players with 2 points in this game. Quinn, Peterka, Krebs, Byram, and Benson all with 2 or more points in this game. What are your thoughts on this one?
I thought this was a really great game, too. We had goals from Benson, Krebs, Cousins, Powers, Samuelson, and Aube-Kubel, which is amazing to see all these different players scoring in all 3 games. Talk about Levi a little bit. He had 25 saves, only allowing 1 goal in. I think he's handling the pressure well. I know he played games last season, but just to see the preseason players, he's doing a great job. Benson is doing great. He's very involved in all the games. He's playing a really gritty game, getting in a little bit of fights. We see that. We like to see a little bit of the aggression. But I think overall we have a really good system going so far, and we feel more connected, which is going to be great for us in the long run. And we're playing a more aggressive game, which I believe we need, and we just need to keep putting in the work to win.
Yeah, thank you. And we're going to head into the last one here.
Pittsburgh again, this time on the road in Pittsburgh. We win at 3-2. Prospects, Novikov and Slager, I believe. They both end up with goals in this first period. Anton Wahlberg, another prospect for the Buffalo Sabres, ends the game with a goal in the later half of the second period. And then on top of that, Scott Ratzlaff gets in for the third period and stops all 10 shots against with a shutout in the third period to get Buffalo over the hump and win their 3rd straight preseason game. Colin, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so similar to what Alex was saying earlier, I mean, obviously it's preseason. You don't want to read too much into this result, especially with the Sabres main roster already traveling to Europe for their games in Prague. So this was essentially the Rochester Americans playing this game with those prospects that you just mentioned. Another guy that impressed me was Tyler Tullio, who we acquired in the Matthew Savoy trade to Edmonton. We got him along with Ryan McLeod, and he had 2 assists in that game, including the assist on the game winner from Anton Wahlberg. You mentioned Scott Ratzlaff, but Michael Hauser did struggle in net. He allowed 2 goals on 19 shots, but again, this is the AHL. This is where they're supposed to be making mistakes and developing. So plenty of good from Scott Ratzlaff, a little bit of bad from Michael Hauser, but not too concerned with our overall goalie situation because, again, UPL, Levi, and James Reimer were all on their way to Europe.
Yeah, so that's going to conclude that section of this. And then we're going to hop into one last little thing here, the season preview. What are your guys' thoughts on the makeup of this roster as we start this season? And what are your expectations for this Buffalo Sabres heading into potentially the year we finally snap that playoff drought? Let's start with Alex.
I think this is the year
we do finally get it. I said that last year, was proven wrong, but I really do truly believe this is the year. I think we end up with 94 points and sneak into that 8th seed, and I have it for a lot of reasons. First, our top 6 is healthy. Last year, Jack Quinn barely played. Tage Thompson wasn't healthy until the last 2 months. I mean, both of those injuries are very big to this team, so it really kind of hurt us. And then our bottom 6 is completely rebuilt. The only person on our team maybe one or two guys from our bottom six last year is going to be in our bottom six this year with Krebs and Greenway. Everyone else is either through trades or free agency. We really rebuilt that. We found an identity. We want speed guys who can play some defense or a lot more physical, which we were really lacking last year. I expect our young guys, which is almost everyone, to take a jump. And then our goalies, I mean, UPL, Devin Levi, really good. And then we have a new coach who is a tough old head guy who's going to push this team. I mean, you saw practice one, guys were panting with their hands on their knees. They were doing push-ups, stuff like that. I really think Lindy's going to be able to get the best out of them, and this power play looks rejuvenated. I'm really excited for what this season is going to bring.
All right, Colin?
Well, like Alex was saying, our top six is finally healthy. I'm just a little bit concerned with our ceiling for our forward group. If one of those top six guys goes down, whether it's Jordan Greenway or Jason Zucker, then that would maybe be stepping into the top six. I don't know if they have the ceiling to continue the pace that healthy top six would have. I'm also curious to see what the goalie split will be like. Yes, last season it was Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen that took big strides in his development and started 50-something games last year. I'm curious to see if Devin Levi turns it into more of a 1A and 1B, or they ride with UPL the rest of the way.
All right, and then Michelle.
I like what everybody just said right there. But we have the really strong lines, and I'm really excited to see the younger guys come together and see how they can put in for the team. We're playing a more aggressive game, like I said earlier, and I think that's going to be really good for us. We're a little bit of a softer team, if you could say that. So having that aggression and the forecheck is just so important. And I think Lindy is really going to push us to do our best this season.
Yeah, I
guess we'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys so much for watching the Buffalo Sabres segment today. I'm Thomas Bailey, and we will see you next time. Sebastian, for our MLB segment to wrap up after this.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's lumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're going to take care of you, okay? Ready?
1, 2, 3. And welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider, and I'm your host, Sebastian Sierra, and joining me today as we speak MLB and Women's NBA is Nate Palmer, Antonio Calderon, and London McDonald. So starting off with MLB. So as we just entered our final week of the MLB regular season and going into playoffs, some teams that have already secured their playoff spots are the New York Yankees, Philadelphia Phillies, Cleveland Guardians, Los Angeles Dodgers. And some teams that are in the wild card round are the Milwaukee Brewers, Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals, Baltimore Orioles, Detroit Tigers, New York Mets, San Diego Padres, and Arizona Diamondbacks. Nate, who do you have winning the National League?
Coming out of the National League, I like the Padres, to be honest with you. They've won 10 of the last 12. They beat the Dodgers yesterday. And I think that it's just as talented as the Dodgers to come out of the NL.
And what about for the American League?
The American League, I think it's going to be Houston. I think it's going to be Houston again. Bregman, Altuve, them boys are just, I just think they too much at the end of the day.
Is there any key players who stand out to you right now?
I really like the rookie Jackson Merrill for the Padres. I think he's one of the key sluggers that could get them over the top and actually by the end of the week actually pass the Dodgers for first place.
Yes, sir. And how about you, Antonio? Who do you have winning the National League?
The National League, I'll have to also go with the Dodgers. I feel like they're too strong of a team right now. I'm a firm believer that in the playoff series, the team with the better top players are the ones that are going to come out on top, and the Dodgers are a 3-man heavy team in the lineup.
Is there any players from the Dodgers that stand out to you most?
I feel like I would be wrong if I didn't say his name. So Shohei Ohtani, what he's been doing this season is insane. And it's going to be his first time being able to play in the playoffs, so I'm expecting big things from him.
And didn't he just break his own record too, 51-50 ball club?
Yep.
Yes, sir. And how about for the American League for you?
For the American League, I got to go with the Yankees. I like
Yes,
what they have
sir.
going on with Judge and Soto there in the lineup. They got Jason Dominguez now called up. I like what he showed last season before the injury, and now this season I think could be a big help to them.
So I definitely agree with you on that one. Now, who do you guys have in winning the championship game? Nate?
The championship, man, I'm going with the Astros again.
Astros?
Yeah, I think, like I said, Altuve, Bregman, I think their lineup, man, is just monster. They not as highly rated as they should be. I think they got the lineup that rivals the Yankees and the Dodgers. So my sleeper pick coming out is the Astros.
And how about for you, Antonio?
I'm actually with the Yankees. I feel like they made the big move that was rumored for a long time now. They got Soto. I like a lot of what's going on with the other players. You got Gleyber Torres starting to heat up at the right time. I think he'll be a big part of the playoffs. They solved the issue with the closer. Clay Holmes wasn't getting it done. Now they have Luke Weaver there to close games out, so I feel a lot more confident in them being able to do that in a big game situation. So I have to go with them.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Yankees as well. So now going into women's NBA with the first round of playoffs that just started this past Sunday, 8 teams were in the race to win for the women's national championships, with Minnesota Lynx, New York Liberty, Atlanta Dream, Las Vegas Aces, Seattle Storm, Phoenix Mercury, Connecticut Suns, and Indiana Fever. 2 of these teams have already secured their spot to the next rounds. Aces and Liberty advance, and Atlanta Dream and Seattle Storm are now out of their race. Out of these teams, who do you have making it to the top 2? Nate?
I think the Connecticut Sun handle business tonight, and I think they will face the Minnesota Lynx.
Is there any key players from the Suns that stand out to you?
Alyssa Thomas, she's a lockdown defender. Bonner, she's been consistent all year at power forward, and I just think defensively they're too much for the Fever right now. But it's been fun watching Caitlin Clark bring a lot of excitement to the WNBA this year.
Definitely got to agree with you. And how about you, London?
When they said about the Connecticut Suns, but me, I definitely want to wait and see tonight to see if the Fever will be able to tie up the series. I definitely want to see if Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, all of them, they could get it together and keep going. I feel they would be an exciting team to see in the rest of these playoffs.
You guys think Caitlin Clark can lead her team to the final championship game?
I think she's a year away, man. A lot of, but she definitely is capable. They've shown the talent to be able to do it. But I just think that veteran experience accounts for a lot in these situations. And I think the young Fever might be just a year away.
I definitely got to agree with you guys. And now with women's NBA playoffs being played on the same day as NFL Sundays, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Starting off with you, London.
So, I don't really it's a big discussion, I will say. Actually, as you said that, the past game, Caitlin Clark's first playoff game actually got more views than NFL Sunday did. So it is crazy to say that, but I will say maybe they shouldn't have did it. Maybe it should be played on different days, but you never know.
Got to agree with you. How about you, Nate?
I think it was a mistake. I think they dropped the ball once again. They could have waited, a few more days to Tuesday to start the WNBA playoffs. And then that way you would have had all the other leagues out of the way, and you would have had the country's eyes on those marquee matchups, especially with Caitlin Clark.
Definitely agree with you for that. And that's it for today's show. And thank you for watching Buffalo Sports Insiders as we talk about everything sports, everything Buffalo.